Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Fish the Mark. Appreciate everybody joining in, watching the channel. This is a continuation of the last video that I put out about a week ago on Newton Lake in July of 2022. I talked a little bit about that video about how a group of buddies and I went down fishing there for 3 days. So this will be the video for day two. So I'm not going to go through all the details on Newton Lake like I did in the beginning of the first video. If you want to see that, you can go back and watch the first video. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what happened on day two down there. Day two was our toughest day on the water. We caught the fewest fish, still caught a few decent ones. We fished a long time. It's the only day that we really put in a really long day down there fishing, and it was a tough day. But we did catch some good fish, and we learned a few things, and kind of got us some good tips going for day three, where we had a really good day down there that we'll show in the next video. So let's get out and take a look at where we were at and what we did on day two and some of the fish catches. We're out on the lake now getting ready to fish for day two here. I started in the same spot I started on day one, but down here, there's just a tremendous amount of fish activity, shad, bass surfacing everywhere. So I tried it again for probably a good 45 minutes in the morning and didn't even get a hit out of there. And so after 45 minutes, I gave up and I moved up to this area right through here and picked up a prop knocker buzzbait from Razor Custom Tackle and started getting a clue as to where the fish were this morning. I started the morning without Tim. He's back at the cabin taking care of some business, and so I went out for a couple hours in the morning. First thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn this up a little bit so you can hear the prop knocker. This prop knocker buzzbait is out of the box. It's got a good squeak to it. And then it's also, you can bend the shaft down so that the prop hits the head of the buzzbait and it clicks as it goes. And so you can see that I miss a fish here on this particular cast, but you're also going to be able to hear that prop knocker. So you can kind of hear that a little bit. Now here's where I catch one on it. Let's go back a little bit and see if you can hear where you can hear it a little bit. Let's turn let's turn the volume down here for the rest of the day. You guys don't need to hear some of the chatter going on today. So here we catch, throwing that prop knocker buzzbait, catch a nice 18.5 incher. Terrible boat flip, by the way, here coming up in a few seconds by me. Kind of surprised I didn't break the rod the way I did it, but whatever, we got him in the boat. And so nice 18.5 inch bass. Good way to start the day, getting it over in the boat on that prop knocker. Then a little bit later, went up around the corner from where I caught that one. Came to some submerged trees and started throwing my rocket craw that I like to throw. You guys have seen me throw many times. And so I had this little one up next to the boat. I ended up catching one more there that for some reason didn't get on camera. I don't know what I did wrong with the camera on that one, but it missed it. Then went back, picked up Tim, and then we headed up the lake. We went up the hot ditch side. Yesterday we were hitting this point pretty hard. We came straight across the lake to the point straight across from it here, and fished from there all the way down to about here. And so the next few fish all come from there. The other thing before I jump into it, you're going to see I've got these white sun protection leggings on. I've talked in the past about my battles with skin cancer. I found these things online. I'll put a link in on where I buy them from in case anybody else wants them. They do a great job of protecting your legs against sun, and they actually keep you cool during the day. They're pretty comfortable to wear, and so I highly recommend these. So I'll put those in, put the link in where I get those from as well. And you'll see that both for day 2 and day 3 are one of these. You see on day 2, I mean, all day was like this. Not a cloud in the sky, super bright sun, super hot. We just had that all day long. And day 2 was really our toughest day. And I think this high pressure cell was probably part of the reason why. But here we are, thrown out into about 4 feet of water, dragging the lure. In this case, it's that jig out to about 16 feet. That fish hit in about 8 feet. Here, Tim connects up with one. Unfortunately for Tim, this is the only one that we got on video on day 2 that he caught. But little advance warning on day 3. Don't feel bad for Tim. He made his mind up that he was going to come back and smack me around on day 3, and he did. So, but he got one, I think, off of a brush hog there, and then we moved to another spot. Now, one of the things that I want to tell you guys is that through the magic of video editing, it looks like we just go from one spot to the next and start catching them. Between spot 2 and spot 3, we fished all over this lake. Right? We came down here, we came up through here, we came all the way up here, we fished a couple of these coves in through here, and it was just a challenge of a day for us. And we got a few little ones that I didn't even bother showing the video for through that process. But there was a whole lot of casting and not a whole lot of catching going on. We came down here and worked through here and caught a few more that we'll now take a look at on video. But once again, throwing the rocket craw, that green pumpkin rocket craw that I like to throw, and pick up this 14-incher. Thought he was an aerial artist there when he jumped. And then caught another one about the same size. I think this one's just a little bit bigger, about 15 inches. So, we got a couple of small ones, and we caught a few more little ones in through here in this third area. But that was the end of it for that area. So then we moved down to the dam, and we hadn't fished the dam at all on this trip yet, and so went down to the dam and was able to catch a few fish down there, and we learned something at the very end of the day for us. And we were able to learn something down there that I'll show you in a few minutes when we get in the video what we picked up and learned that really helped us on day 3. So here we are. Now right here, right off the bat, you can see me looking at the graph. And I'm not really working the bait at all. And while I'm looking at the graph, I get a hit right there. That should have been a clue that we were moving the baits too fast all day and that we needed to dead stick these things. I didn't figure it out till the third fish on the dam, but we eventually figured it out. So had that hit, I double checked, make sure he's there, set the hook, and bring in a nice 17.5-incher off the dam, dragging that half ounce jig, Strike King green pumpkin jig, casting up in about 6 feet of water, dragging it all the way out to about 18 or 20 feet of water, and we'll get that one in. Then this one here, this fish catch is pretty cool. It clearly, in my opinion, there was a small school of bass down here. So I get a hit from one, I set the hook, he doesn't hook up very good, comes off. I drop the rod down, kind of bend over, bemoaning the fact that I missed a fish. I pick it up, work it a little bit, and I get a hit, and I end up catching that one. And I think it's, there's a couple lessons here. One of them is I think in this particular location, there were some small schools roaming around, and I think it was a different fish that picked it up the second time. I don't think it was the same fish. It may have been the same fish, but I don't think so. I think the first fish bit, I pulled it out of his mouth. The second fish saw it and came and picked it up. The other thing is he picked it up after it was dead sticked again for a few seconds after I thought I missed it, or after I did miss that first one, it was dead stick. So here we are again, need to just let the lure lay on the bottom to catch a fish. So here's the one I missed. I feel the hit right there, right there. Set the hook, didn't have him. Rod drops down. I let it dead stick for a second, pick it up, and boom, another one's there. I think it's a different fish. I think there's 2 or 3 fish down there. Tim cast out trying to catch to see if there was more than 1 or 2 out there. He didn't get a hit out there, but ended up catching. This one ended up measuring 16.5 inches on the bump board, so it ends up being a pretty decent fish. And here's the final clue about needing a dead stick that we picked up and learned for day 3. So our buddies followed us down to the dam and they were kind of fishing behind us. So Tim and I are talking to our buddies who are off to the left here as the camera's viewing. They're off to the left talking to us about some stuff. And so I even turn around and I'm talking to them. And while we're turning around talking to them, I get a hit, set the hook, and bring in a fish. So 3 fish on the dam, all 3 of them kind of coming off of a dead stick situation. So we got back to the lodge that night and talked about it, and I think we just spent all day fishing too fast. And so on day 3 we slow it down, fish a little slower, and Tim takes me out to the woodshed and beats me up a little bit with the fish that he catches. So you'll have to come back and take a look at day 3 and see what Tim did to me on day 3. Here's the lures that we used that I caught them on day 2. The Rocket Crawl Green Pumpkin, 1/4 ounce weight, 3/0 Gamakatsu hook, the 1/2 ounce Strike King jig with a Rage Claw trailer, and the Prop Knocker that I caught that 18.5 incher on in the morning. I'll put links to all of these in. I'll put links to the lodge that we stayed at and links to those leggings that I wear to help keep away from skin cancer when I'm out fishing on those sunny days on my legs. So appreciate you joining the channel. Let me know what you'd like to see us do different, like to see us do more of. Likes maybe you'd like to see us fish. Got a couple comments on the last one on places to go try that we're going to try to work in and go make that happen. So appreciate everybody joining in, and good luck fishing out there.